Southington police are warning of a Bitcoin scam after a woman in town lost $14,000. In this Watching Your Wallet, your consumer investigative reporter Cassidy Williams explains what police say you should know.
Southington police are now investigating after a woman in town called them to say she got a concerning call from someone she thought was a Hartford police officer.
The officer, who ended up being the criminal suspect in this particular case, informed her that she had a pending federal arrest warrant. Ultimately, she was given a directive to travel to the state of Massachusetts at a gas station to purchase $14,000 worth of Bitcoin. She was then instructed to deposit that into a Bitcoin wallet, which is essentially a bank transaction, but in the Bitcoin world, and then was told to follow up and travel to the Hartford Police Department. Obviously, when she got to the Hartford Police Department, they had no information on this as it was fraudulent.
$14,000 gone because of just one phone call. Officer Michael Morley believes she may have been targeted because she is elderly, and the criminals most likely had a reason to pick that gas station in Massachusetts.
What we've seen is some of these gas stations and other fuel stations have minimal governance over their Bitcoin stations. And what I mean by minimal governance is maybe a lack of video surveillance, maybe a lack of questions from the staff that work there.
Officer Morley says police departments won't ask you to pay for something in Bitcoin. Anytime someone is pressuring you to stay on the phone and not letting you do any research, that should be a big red flag.
If there's any pressure or urgency to remain on the phone, I think that's a heightened response as well, where you need to proceed with caution. Especially in a case like this, if the officer is indicating you shouldn't get off the phone, I find that to be alarming.
Southington detectives are still investigating this case, but they believe getting her money back is unlikely. They find many times these scammers are out of the country. Your consumer reporter, Cassidy Williams, Channel 3 Eyewitness News.